Right now, in the heart of India's political landscape, Bihar, a huge battle is brewing. And it's not over candidates or parties, it's over the voter list itself. The Election Commission is doing this massive overhaul, but opposition leaders are sounding the alarm, warning that this whole process could end up silencing millions of voters.
So, which is it? Is this just a genuine, much-needed cleanup to make sure every vote is counted fairly? Or is it something more cynical? A targeted campaign of voter suppression hiding behind red tape? That's really the core conflict we're going to break down here. And to get a sense of just how high the stakes are, you have to wrap your head around this number, 80 million. Bihar has more than 80 million registered voters. That makes it a colossal political battleground. Any change here doesn't just decide the state's future, it sends shockwaves through national politics.
Okay, so first, let's look at the official story. According to the Election Commission, what's happening isn't really a controversy at all. They're framing it as a completely routine, even necessary, administrative task.
The official name for this is intensive revision. And the goal sounds simple enough, right? They want to update the voter rolls. That means verifying the people who are already on it, adding new folks, and, this is key, removing the names of people who've passed away or are registered somewhere else. On the surface, it sounds like standard procedure, pretty uncontroversial. But this isn't just your standard update. The whole process in Bihar is built on a specific, new set of rules for verification. And this, right here, is the flashpoint for the entire explosive debate. So for this verification, voters have to show documents like a birth certificate, school records, or a ration card. But it's the document that's not on this list that has ignited a firestorm. The Aadhaar card, one of the most common, widespread forms of ID in all of India, has been explicitly excluded. This rule change immediately brought up a huge question. Who does this hurt the most? Well, critics argue that this burden falls heaviest on people in poor, rural, and minority communities, voters who often don't have easy access to older documents like school certificates and might rely almost entirely on their Aadhaar card. So you take the sheer scale of this revision and you combine it with the exclusion of Aadhaar, and what you get is an explosive allegation from the opposition. They aren't just calling it a flawed policy, they're calling it Vote Chori. They're calling it theft. And this quote from Rahul Gandhi really captures the opposition's entire argument. He calls it institutionalized Chori, or institutionalized theft. The accusation here is that this isn't some accident or bureaucratic mistake. They're claiming it's a planned, systematic effort to wipe legitimate voters right off the rolls. And this isn't just talk, you know? They've taken to the streets. They've launched a Voter Adhikar Yatra, or a voter rights march, in Bihar, and even marched on the Election Commission in Delhi, which led to dozens of MPs being detained. For a lot of people, this has some pretty chilling echoes of the Assam NRC, which left millions of people scrambling to prove they were even citizens. So, with all these explosive charges flying around, how are the Election Commission and the ruling party responding? Well, as you can probably guess, they have a very, very different story to tell. You really have two completely competing realities here. Where the opposition screams mass deletion, the EC says, no, we're just removing duplicates and the names of people who've passed away. Where critics see targeting communities, the official reason is protecting voter privacy by not using Aadhaar. And that huge charge of stealing elections, that's countered with the claim that this is just a routine exercise with plenty of checks and balances to keep things fair. The ruling BJP has also weighed in, pretty much dismissing the protests entirely. They've called the opposition habitual crybabies, basically arguing this is a predictable political move to blame the system and create panic whenever they think they might lose. So there you have it, two stories that just can't both be true. A routine cleanup on one side and a systematic theft of votes on the other. This entire firestorm is really being fueled by several critical questions that just haven't been answered. This whole controversy really boils down to three main points of contention. First, the timing. Why do this now, right before a major election? Second, the inconsistency. Why is Aadhaar suddenly a privacy risk in Bihar when it's being used to link voter IDs in other states? And finally, the human cost. In a process this massive, how many real, genuine voters are going to be accidentally kicked off the list? And you know, all of this really pushes us toward a fundamental policy debate that goes way beyond Bihar. In an India that's becoming more and more digital, what is the proper role for the Aadhaar card in our elections? It's a question with no easy answers. as the country modernizes? How do we balance security and convenience with the absolute fundamental right to vote? The answer to that is going to define the future of its democracy.